heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
The Common Folk Podcast.
Here we are. Look at you guys in your brand hoodies.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed.
Yes.
Yeah, we're fancy.
Andy's wearing a Chasing the Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, you got a new Stock and Rod.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Wild
that.
Game On.
I like that
I do
design.
too.
Yeah, that's pretty sharp.
It's a kid's one too.
Well,
I'm not wearing a kid shirt.
No.
it has bright colors.
It comes in kids. Please let me clarify. And a tee. But anyways, I just looked at you guys. I'm like, oh, you guys are sporting your stuff.
It's
That's nice.
a pretty clever design, and I don't know if I want to try and describe it, but there's a lot going on.
Could show the camera.
But it's so clean. Yeah. Yep. We're on camera, so yeah, you can just puff out your chest there.
Ooh. Can
But-
you move your boobs too? Your pecs?
Like old Arnold. But what do you got here? You got a trout stream, and the stream is actually a trout.
It's
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
there we go. So yeah, you're if you're not watching on YouTube or whatever, you're just gonna have to go there. And
go
find
to
it.
stockandrodco.com.
No, it's not. So
No co?
No co.
Okay. No
So
co.
yeah, this is
No
the new brand that we started that piggybacks off of Farm Focused, and it's Stock and Rod. So stockandrod.com. And we've got some new designs that we did.
Yeah.
Some really cool graphic designers that we worked with who helped create these things.
Yeah.
And this is very unique. And there's
Looks
a
sharp.
couple other ones that we did as well. But it's all about the outdoors.
Yep.
Hunting, fishing, camping.
Andy's on there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
We're the first to sign up. Old
Chasing the Dream.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And we just had that deer and hunting expo in Lincoln, Nebraska. And there was a couple of different outdoors brands that are very interested in working with Stock and Rod. So I think there's going to be some really good things that happen within the next year or so.
Yeah. So the idea behind the brand is obviously it being a brand, that represents folks in the outdoors,
Mhm.
but also working with people like Chasing the Dream, like some of these other folks that you've talked to who are big on social media, who have a following and want to offer merchandise.
Mhm.
So we handle the merchandise for them, design, production, shipping, after the fact customer service, to make sure that the people
Yeah.
who follow them get really good quality stuff.
I mean, it's basically fulfillment from start to finish with people
Mm-hmm.
that you know, people you trust, and you're not outsourcing it overseas or anything like that where,
Mm-hmm.
man, the first time you have a problem, you're like in a lot of regret. That
Yeah.
we've heard so many stories like that. So
Yeah, and we're small. I mean, and we will maintain that in terms of, when things come up, you can get a hold of somebody.
Mhm.
We've got a published phone number. You call it, someone answers the phone. If they don't, they call you back. It's just how
Yeah.
it works.
It's unbelievable how that's like a perk nowadays.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Isn't that
ridiculous. I know.
Seems
went through
pretty
that.
basic.
something? Yeah.
With the Christmas gift I was still waiting for from December 11th. Could not get a hold of a company. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
like publish your phone number. So yes, phone number's up. Website's up. It's looking good.
Good,
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah.
Off and running
Good-
right now. So
good deal.
working the kinks out. It's very fresh. But to kick off today, one of the first things I wanted to start with was on what we just talked about with Stock and Rod, on the farm focused side of things. It's the same kind of thing, except it's these
Mhm.
agricultural brands that are doing their thing. And one of the things that we've noticed is a lot of them lately have been working with a particular company that's gaining a lot of steam, and it sounds very interesting. So we made contact with them and said, "Hey, what's this all about? What do you guys got going on?" And the company is called the WAG BAR.
It's not dog treats.
No,
Okay. Not wagging their tails.
no, it's
Okay.
not. You're right about that. Yep.
Okay, so what do we got cooking here?
So basically, this is a company that is producing these snack bars, and these things, if you think about it, like these meat sticks,
Mhm.
in one way or another, a dime a dozen. I mean, they're everywhere.
Sure, I see what you're saying.
You go in the grocery or the gas station,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you got 20 different choices.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out like what differentiates them. And for whatever reason, a bunch of folks that we know have been working with these guys. So we contacted these guys, chatted with them a little bit, and said, hey, what do you guys got going on? Let's see how what this product's like and how we can work together. So we ordered this in, ordered the variety pack. So we've got, 4 different flavors here?
Yeah, so, and I mean, the packaging, you can tell that this isn't your regular meat stick
Mm-hmm.
or
No.
treat like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's original, peppered. What do you have there, Ben?
Teriyaki.
And then what's the green one?
Hot and spicy.
Okay, so
Ooh.
variety pack comes with 4 different ones.
Yep. And I'll start off by saying that we ordered this stuff outside of any kind of relationship. So to make sure that what's the process? How does it really work? What are people what are regular folks going to actually experience? So I went online, ordered this stuff. I think I did it from my phone, as a matter of fact, and it was very, very easy to do. The communication is right on par with what you'd expect. So you immediately get your order confirmation, you get your shipping confirmation, you get your delivery confirmation. All that stuff shows up, so that's
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
You're in the know the whole time, and it was quick. So it showed up, and here we are. So what I thought was, let's take a quick look at this stuff. Let's try it.
Okay.
As of today, what folks need to understand is that the WAG BAR company is not paying the Common Folk podcast a dime.
Yeah, so you're going to, you know how you do your Matthew McConaughey opening every now and then? Yeah. Now you'll be able to do, if things go well or whatever on down the road, you'll be able to say, I ate WAG bars long before someone paid me to.
And there you go. Yeah, that's right. And the point, and I like this because the point is that we're not influenced in any way to say whether this is great or not or whatever.
Right.
So I want folks to understand what this is all really about. But everything so far has been awesome.
It's been
The
good.
experience, the purchase experience was great. Product shows up. It's in cool packaging. Everything looks right on. So,
Do you think everybody knows what Wagyu is? Do you need to?
I'd
Touch on
imagine that most folks listening to this do, but like in just looking at the ingredients real quick, American Wagyu beef, water, salt, sugar, celery,
Looks like it's packaged in Tulsa,
soy
Oklahoma.
spice. Yep,
Yeah,
it's coming
it's
out of
local.
Oklahoma. So it says American Wagyu beef, so they must be sourcing the beef in the U.S. Most folks probably know as far as breeds go, the Wagyu breed is well known for its heavy marbling. We've had Wagyu steaks and these kinds of things that make a very tender, very, very tender cut of meat. A little bit more juicy.
Yep.
Those kinds of things that come with the marbling that's in there. So these guys have taken what was like a premium cut of beef, and premium in terms of like, if you were to find it at your grocery store, it's like 10 times the price.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And turned it into these bars. And I'm sure they're doing some other things with it as well. But so that's kind of the background on that.
It's got a
Piece of
lot
meat.
of protein. I mean, I guess I don't know what you throw it up against.
Well,
The 15
Right.
grams, and then the carbs, the calories aren't very high.
I'm guessing just off the bar and the looks of it, they're trying to compete with not only a meat stick, but
Like a
healthy
protein bar?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, protein
Yes.
bar and just a
That's
healthier
what I was
option, kind of on both fronts.
hmm
Because I mean, you're getting a lot of cereals and things like that you might not necessarily need with a regular protein
Right.
bar.
And I eat a lot of bars, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah, there we go.
test this. But like, I just opened it. Can we talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
So the outside is dark. Is everyone else's? And then
Mine's not.
okay, yours is not.
I got the original though.
Okay, so
What do you
this
got?
one, oh, it's peppered, duh.
Ah,
So it's dark, but then
okay.
the meat
That's the
is
pepper.
reddish
That's the pepper on the outside.
looking.
Yeah.
Yep,
But yours
yep.
is solid all the way through. Gotcha.
So you got, what flavor do you have?
peppered.
You have peppered. Andy, you got
and I got the original.
original, and I've got teriyaki.
And I do want to mention, you guys can take a bite here, but the Wagyu beef, made in America, if I watched a thing, a documentary on it and all the different steps that Wagyu goes through overseas, how they treat the cattle and this and that.
Mhm.
So when I saw Wagyu beef, a couple of years ago, I just assumed they were importing beef. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to support that. I want to support Nebraska Midwest ranchers. Well, now come to find out that it's come full circle where they're actually it's a crossbreed now here in the States. And we actually here in Nebraska that I can just off the top of my head think of a couple ranches within about 2 or 3 hours of us that have
Wagyu?
Yeah, breeds of Wagyu.
Really?
Yeah.
So, there you
And I
go.
think a lot of them, and that's not to say this one because we don't know, is like you said, a mix between a Wagyu and an Angus. Still develops those characteristics of that very marbled beef. But
This
yeah,
is
let's
good.
give this a shot.
So I took a bite of this peppered one. It's not like heavily peppered, which is good because I do like peppered, but sometimes then it just gets too much and there's that spice aftertaste.
Yeah, they overdo it.
This is good. It's easy to chew. It's not like what do you think, Andy, on yours? Because I want to try the bite of your other, like the end. Can
I really
I
like
break it?
Mhm.
Yep, I really like it, and it reminds me of
Here,
a
try this
jerky back from my old stopping grounds. You know,
one. So
from
what is it?
from a small.
Like just like a different brand?
Yeah, just how this little local meat locker, would process it and package it. It tastes a lot like that, and it reminds me of it a lot.
So I like how these guys call it a beef bar, because I think the go-to in
Oh, that's good.
this industry is people just automatically think jerky, like that's the word or whatever.
Oh.
This is not jerky.
No, it is a beef. It's I
Mhm.
don't want to say a slab of meat, but it's okay. So it's probably, is this 4 inches maybe?
Mm,
3.5? 3.
yeah. Well.
And then
Yeah. Probably.
I'm just trying to think of like to explain like the length. It's not like a normal protein bar
Right.
lengthwise.
It's a little shorter,
yeah.
wouldn't you say?
It's definitely
Yeah.
not 6 inches.
Okay.
I mean, you're pretty sure. I mean, you got a pretty good idea of what
Yeah.
Let me try yours.
a full 6, or at least a 7. A full 7 is.
I agree with you on the peppered though. That's good,
It's really good.
and it makes me think this would be really good with some eggs, maybe a coffee in the morning. That might be the ticket right there. So
So I'm trying
Ooh,
the
I like
peppered one right now.
teriyaki, too.
yeah, what do you think? Like, it gives me a breakfast wing. You know
Totally.
what I mean?
That's
Totally.
teriyaki, Andy. I don't
So
know if I
the,
taste a lot of teriyaki either. I think the tastes are very subtle, like the flavor.
What's very interesting to me that I think people need to understand, because I would have wondered this before I had it, is the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So when I said earlier that it's not jerky, it's not jerky. When I think of jerky, jerky's got that pull. It's dry
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. This is not that at all. This is very tender, breaks apart very easy.
Yeah.
It's moist.
For those people that do like their own deer processing and stuff and make their own jerky, this is a really fat slab coming out of your jerky gun. So after you grind it, regrind it, grind it again,
Oh,
mix in whatever you want to mix in.
Mhm.
This is a big old fat bar, probably a little bit bigger than anything I could make, with the equipment I have, which
Okay.
we just process, 2 or 3 deer a year. So,
Mhm.
but no, this is good.
I don't know. Maybe how you guys opened it was better than me. I just like opened it and grabbed it with my hand. They're a little bit greasy.
It is greasy.
Yep.
So maybe keep it in the wrapper and kind of peel back so your hands aren't
Yeah.
full of oil.
But that and that's that's that trade-off. So
Okay.
you want that greasiness so that you've got the tender,
Yep.
and it probably maintains the flavor and so on and so forth. You don't want it like super hard to eat. But yeah, if you were just like on the go,
Flavor's super good. I would
what
definitely
was this
recommend
one?
this.
Was this Andy's? Is this original?
That's Andy's original.
I thought this was mine.
Yeah, but I
got a
took
little
a piece
piece.
for him. The only one we didn't open is the hot and spicy. Ben, you'd probably like that, and Joel would.
Mm.
I mean, bust it open.
I would.
I like the original one. It's good.
Yeah. It's not.
Yep. And none of it's overdone. Like
Plain.
the
Yeah,
peppered isn't overdone.
not.
The teriyaki, because sometimes, there are some teriyaki sticks out there. It's just too much. It's
And you can
overwhelming.
pronounce every ingredient. Like literally.
Right.
I noticed that
yeah.
too. Just
It's not a bunch of hodgepodge like crap. You don't even know what you're saying. That is good to me.
I also like that the flavors are distinctive. Like each one of those is different.
Mhm.
So what's this hot? and
Ooh, I'm
spicy?
surprised that's not more
Actually, let me break this
looking
off here.
hot and spicy.
You guys take one.
Does that make sense? The look of this one, I would think it'd be more red.
Well, it has like the brown coating like you were talking about
Yeah.
with the peppered. So I must just feel what when they put that on, it must be what happens.
I don't know. I mean, I've ate a number of these, I definitely would not call that overly spicy.
I would not call that hot or spicy, really.
But just wait. It feels like it hits you after.
Okay.
Oh, Millie's trying to get it.
Oh, the dog's in here, and she's just like, what are you guys opening all this stuff up? Okay, I do. It's hitting. Did you try that?
Mm-hmm.
That aftertaste that's where the spice comes in.
It takes a moment, and yeah, I'm a weenie. I don't like spicy.
You don't like spicy?
No.
So
Like at all?
If you're not a big,
Not really.
If you're not a
okay.
big spice guy,
Ben,
then
she's going to be crapping on the floor.
yeah, she probably will. That's right. If you're not a big spice guy, what do you think about that? Is that too much for a guy that's not big into spice?
It's not over the top, and if I have a cold beer, by my
It'd be a
side,
good combo.
be all right.
Okay.
It'd be all right. So I can do that. I can do it, but I think I would just rather go with the original or the teriyaki.
Okay.
Then
Yeah, I think right now my favorite is the peppered or original. What would you pick if you had to pick two?
I think I'd say flavor-wise, yeah, same.
Okay.
I could get into a habit of having one of the peppered ones for breakfast every morning. That's just what it tasted like to me.
Now, Ben, was this the only 4 kinds on the site, or this was just what was in this package? Do you remember?
I think that's it. I mean,
Okay.
I just ordered a variety pack, so.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I approve.
Yeah.
I'll definitely eat the rest of these. I think our kids will.
I can 100% see where that would be super handy, fulfilling in, out there in the work environment. With the folks that we work with, it's farmers and ranchers. They're out there in the tractor. You need a midday snack, whatever the case may be. That can apply to anybody that's out there on the road doing their thing out there in the field. Well, that would be a great snack.
And maybe let me get away with a couple of them here because Garrett, with Chasing the Dream, our main producer, my partner, he's heading down to Alabama to do some deer hunting, filming, and some photo shoots for some other outdoor brands
Nice.
that you might see on Stock and Rod in the coming months. But yeah, I bet, if you're going to be stuck in a tree stand or whatever, chasing turkeys.
That'd be perfect.
I think they might even do some noodling. You know what that is?
No?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
It's
Grabbing those catfish.
yeah.
Oh, yes, I do know that. I've always said I wanted to do that. He thinks I'm crazy.
I think
That
you're
guy
crazy
that was
too.
on TV, maybe he still has a show. It's like an older gentleman.
Yeah.
And he'd take you to this area
Mhm.
and he would make sure they're in there. And I would totally I'd be scared, but I'd stick my hand in there and be like, yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
He's got invited down with one of the gals we work with, Allie from Alabama. She's just such a sweetheart. She's terrific, but she has a following, and that's kind of been her go-to or her videos that got big for her was her noodling. And I mean, I bet she's not even 100 pounds soaking wet. And here she is just wrangling these, 60-pound catfish out of the river.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty funny, and she knows her stuff. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to pull it off.
Would you do that?
No.
Why is that, you guys? What do I not know?
Okay, so I
get they don't really have teeth.
Yeah, they do. And they got those whiskers that can really sting you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can't be worse than a shot.
Okay, that's fine. But for me, this goes back to me growing up in the sticks out in the boonies,
Mm-hmm.
For fun, Dad would take us to the Ponca Creek. And that's how you say that. It's not creek, it's crick.
Okay,
I
correct.
swear it's creek.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a little bit of a city boy right now, Ben. Yeah. But anyway, so we'd go down the Ponca Creek and he would just turn us loose and let us go play in the water. It was mostly sandbars by the end of the summer because it'd get all dried up. But there'd always be big pockets of water, especially where old bridges used to be, bridge foundations.
Okay.
So we'd go swim in those. And there was one time I was at the edge of one of those, and there was like this green triangle. And I'm looking at it, and then I start touching it, and it's like rubbery, and it's moving around. I'm like, huh. So I go and get Dad. I go, Dad, check this out. What the heck is this? And I go to touch it again. He like holds me back. Goes, whoa, you know what you're doing? I go, well, no, I don't. Yeah, what is this? And he gets this big old stick, flips it over. It was a snapping turtle like this big, and I'm making like a 3-foot wide.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And I was touching its tail.
Yeah.
I was poking his tail with my fingers, and Dad said, if that would have been his face, he might have snapped off your 2 fingers. Like you could have lost your fingers.
Yeah.
So that's what I think about when people are noodling. I'm like, What if you're putting your fingers in the face of a snapping turtle?
Well, someone's got to make sure that it's in there first and feel it for you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but what if it's a snapping turtle?
Well, they better not lie.
Then they lose. Then they lose
Yeah,
the
exactly.
fingers.
Well, anyways,
You only
So-
go.
these
only
would
go
be
unguided.
good in the wood anywhere you
yeah,
go.
To wrap this up, I think into Andy's point too, when we went deer hunting this winter,
Yeah.
we're down there and you get hungry, man. You're down there for a number of hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was cooking soup on the little stove, which I had a lot of buddies. Like this was our first year of deer hunting that they were like,
No wonder
"You
the deer weren't
idiot,
there.
you're running them off." All right, maybe not.
No, we saw deer.
But if all I did was open one of these bars, that'd have been easy enough, and
There you
then
go.
we would have moved on, and I would have felt fine.
Or I was
So,
thinking like sporting events. Moms always have bars and stuff in their purse. This is a
be good-
go-to
good
for
snack,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So we'll see.
We
I don't know. We'll see
approve.
how that goes.
All
They've got a good product. I mean, that was a full on walk in cold.
how was the
taste
price
test.
point though?
You know what? Honestly, I didn't even look at that. I don't. I mean, I looked at it, but I don't remember it being like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
When you walk into a grocery store, I think, or a gas station, anybody would say, if you buy one of those beef sticks, they're always high priced. It
$3,
feels like
$3 or $4.
I even
bucks.
get just
Yeah.
like that new, like those fruit bars that are just, I don't know, I forget what they're called. They're $2 a bar.
I didn't feel
So-
like these guys were out of line.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. Well, I thought we'd touch on that too, since,
All right.
you bought it.
So someday we might work with them. We might not. I don't know. But I've heard enough hype about this that I thought, man, we gotta try this out.
Yeah.
What do the common folk think? And that's what we think. So there you go.
There you go. Well, right off the top, it's an American company out of Oklahoma. So
Yep.
checks a couple boxes for me, that's for sure.
Yep.
Perfect.
So moving on, one of the things I guess the thing that I wanted to talk about today was we've chatted a little bit about hunting, and I want to talk about the camo and blaze orange debate.
Okay.
I'm going to
and
learn a lot, I think.
I don't know that we're going to teach anybody anything.
No, you're going
but
to teach
it's-
me because I have the questions of like why and when.
Right,
and I
right.
asked that in my hunter safety class and I didn't really get it answered.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that nobody really has
You
a
gotta-
good answer.
Oh, I'm answer.
And then, so you just recently did hunter safety.
Yeah.
And the videos that they use are from probably the 60s
90s?
or 70s.
Oh, no.
Oh, they're old.
pretty old.
They're old.
On a video cassette, you were
Okay,
saying, right?
80s.
It was, they had
VHS.
transferred it to DVD. It was on
Okay.
DVD, but it was some old school stuff. And the guys in those videos are wearing what you would imagine, like the flannel shirts and,
Mm-hmm.
the tan pants and whatever,
Right.
walking through the woods hunting,
Uh-huh.
the Elmer Fudd hats and these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So what I want to talk about is what is all this really about, and like what role does it actually play? Is it just a bunch of hunters
Mm-hmm.
wanting to look cool?
Mhm.
Does it actually serve a purpose? What?
Yeah.
So let's get
Yeah,
into
what's
that
your
a little
thoughts,
bit.
Andy?
Well, I mean, first off, there's a couple of things going on here. Let's start with the blaze orange and why hunters wear blaze orange.
Mhm.
I think 43 out of the 50 some odd states we have nowadays have regulations that during a rifle or shotgun season, you have to wear X amount of inches of blaze orange. And that's all just a safety issue. And I wholeheartedly agree with it. In fact, I still get nervous during rifle season when I drive by like a hunting preserve or something. And I know there's only like 600 acres and there's 4 trucks there and they're using high power rifles that can easily send a shot over a mile.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So in that regard alone, I think it's a good idea that everyone wears a blaze orange hat and a blaze orange vest.
If we're going to start with blaze orange, I completely agree with you. I've been in a lot of hunting situations that
Mhm.
are walking type situations with multiple guys that if it wasn't for that blaze orange, I flat out would not be able to see them.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they blend in that much.
And if you take, like, let's say you're pheasant hunting and you're walking a line and you're pushing through something really thick. Like you could be something that's 6-7 foot tall
Mhm.
going through it sometimes. And you look over, the guy next to you is 20, 30 yards from you.
Yeah.
But there's so much crap that you're looking through that any kind of natural color, he's blending in.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
if that bright orange hat is on top of his head or that
Okay.
vest is on, you pick that up. So you're watching that to make sure that you're still in line, that he's not ahead of you, that he's not behind you.
Yep.
That you're always staying aware of, if a bird gets up over there, I know where he's at so I can shoot.
Yeah, and you actually see him, and your eyes go to that brightness because
Yeah.
it's such a contrast.
Yeah.
And every year when we deer hunt, we're all about a quarter mile apart. From this deer stand to that deer stand, it's big, wide open. Canyons in between us, and you'd be amazed at, like what you're saying, how that blaze orange just pops. You know
Mhm.
exactly where everybody's at.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're in like a wooded area and you're just looking down at nothing but trees, if there's any little bit of daylight that's hitting that blaze orange, you can see that guy or the gal,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
wearing that vest. So you would know, even if there is a buck there, don't shoot in that direction because
Someone's over there.
someone's over there. So that's the only reason for blaze orange. And I do want to, the reason it's blaze orange is because deer in particular have a really tough time picking out that color.
So they just think it's brown.
Yeah, it comes across as like a grayish to deer eyes. And that all
Okay.
comes from, and I've been well reversed on this with Ashley being a
Yeah.
biology major,
Right.
our masters.
Oh,
keep getting
we're
it
going to get it wrong again.
But all eyes are made up of rods and cones pick up colors, like different colors,
Okay.
and rods are constructed to like be able to see in low light, low visibility. So a lot of your predators have cones, a lot more cones in their eyes, and a lot of your deer, antelope, things of that nature, cows have a lot more rods. So they don't pick up color like our eye does.
Mm.
So you're kind of safe in that regard, to where deer aren't going to see you, or you're not going to stand out too much wearing that blaze orange, but you really are to another human.
Gotcha.
So
But when you say a percent of orange on you, like depending on the state,
Yep.
they would like have in writing somewhere, you need to have a hat
Yes.
and a jacket, or you need to have 50%.
it goes by
Okay.
it goes by inches, and pretty much every state, if you have a vest and a hat on, you're good to
good.
go.
Okay.
You're good to go. Yep.
Okay.
So exactly what you were talking about when you finished up there with your explanation of like the eye and what they do and don't see and what we do
Mhm.
and don't see is what I'm getting at.
Mhm.
So then with that in mind,
Uh-huh.
why do we wear camo?
Well, because it has your good camo patterns, and I mean, I'm talking about stuff from like Vietnam era, right?
Mhm.
Like you're wearing that farm focused hat right now,
Mhm.
and that has that old camo pattern. Well, it's breaking it up, so your silhouette is broke up against the contrast behind you, the trees behind you. So in that regard, camo comes in extremely handy, whether it's deer, turkeys, whatever the case may be. And it's just because it breaks you up and it
Gotcha.
blends you into your background.
So it's okay. So it's less about when I look over there, I see that color. It's more about the animal seeing the movement.
Right.
So the camo
Blends you
potentially
in.
helps with getting rid of the movement that they might see.
And you'll get lost into whatever your backdrop is, just because like that camo, you have black on tan, on brown, on green.
Mm-hmm.
So it just their eyes would just see different variations of a grayish
Mm-hmm.
color, just like you'd get lost in a tree. You
Mhm.
know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Now we use deer as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go for birds? Goes for like anything you're hunting? Do you think
So you really want to
that
have
they can't see ya or the color?
For me, I would much rather have a really, really good camouflage if I'm turkey hunting, because that is their main line of defense. Like deer, that's their nose. Their nose and their hearing is what their biggest defense mechanisms are.
So Ben's cooking.
Yeah, probably didn't
Yeah.
help, but
They
maybe,
Are you trying to say they'll smell my chicken noodle soup?
but maybe they'd like it. Well, you don't know. but anyway,
Andy, we're going to tie that down next year.
They knew something was up. That's that's for sure.
I'm eating it.
This is my thing.
But anyway, with turkeys, their eyesight is phenomenal. Same with geese. That's why, if you're goose hunting or duck hunting, you really got to brush in or camouflage yourself out of your outfit out, whatever the case may be, because Your ducks, geese, turkeys, their eyesight is phenomenal.
Okay, so they
really
can see good birds.
Yeah, better, way better than deer. So you really do want to have a decent camo pattern when you're hunting those type of species.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I think the deer thing was probably the biggest thing for me because you've got, the orange is required if you're rifle hunting.
Yes.
If you're bow hunting, it's not.
It's not. Nope.
Why?
Well, because that's a close range type of sport. I mean,
it's more of like a safety situation for people. Like it has less to do with the hunt necessarily. It has more to do with people being safe with other people around.
Yeah, but are they thinking that no one's going to shoot a bow at a person?
Exactly.
But
I mean,
you can't. Like,
No,
you don't think.
you can. I think if I'm just taking my own interpretation, is that, like you said earlier, high-powered rifle, that thing's going to go a mile.
Yes.
A bow is not.
No.
So a rifle is much more lethal. So, 100 yards away, if you see a little bit of movement and you're not a responsible hunter and you're going to pull the trigger on that thing, if it's not in orange, it might be a deer, it might be a person, and that 100-yard shot will kill them.
Oh, yeah.
With a bow, that 100-yard shot probably is not going to
even make it.
For most people, that's an unethical shot too with the bow. Like the
okay.
majority of your people, bow hunters, I don't think they feel good about getting past 40 yards out. So you got to be quiet, movement, all these different things. So, seeing somebody, you're going to see them regardless bow hunting, and you're not going to be near anybody in most cases anyhow. And taking a shot, I mean, I think 60, 70 yards is about as far as you're really good. I mean, elite bow hunters want to stretch it because there are so many things that can happen. And if you watch any of our episodes with Chasing the Dream, a lot of them, I think our best episodes, Garrett has a perfect shot. He's Mr. Bow Hunting USA. But he's had this happen a couple of times where it's a 35, 40-yard shot, lets the arrow fly, and the white-tailed deer is so jumpy, it ducks down, and it actually the arrow misses him, or the arrow gets a worse placement.
Oh, shoot. Really?
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about a 30-yard shot here, not your typical rifle shot at 150 to 250 yards. It's just a different ball game.
Totally. And when I use that example of at 100 yards, do you really know what you're shooting at? Like, that's being generous. A lot of guys are shooting 200-300 yards at big game.
Yeah.
And at that distance, if that body doesn't have some blaze orange on it, there might be someone that's like, I'm pretty sure that's a deer.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear the good old boy stories where if it's brown, it's down. Well, if someone's just wearing his Carhartt jacket and his Carhartt, overalls, coveralls, there's going to be an idiot out there that might pull the trigger, might let the lead fly.
Right.
And just sidestep all that. Wear your blaze orange. Okay. I mean, that's,
Yeah. And in situations of, bow hunting or turkey hunting, though, would you ever wear orange in that situation?
You have to in Nebraska if you're bow hunting during rifle season.
Okay.
They'll allow you to do that, which in most cases, a lot of guys are either in a blind or up in a tree. So you could still get away with not wearing camo or wearing blaze orange. Because if all goes well, the deer is going to walk underneath your tree and not know you're there to begin with. Because once again, their defense mechanisms is their hearing and their smell. So you're going to be in a tree stand that's going to be sending your scent, upwind or downwind, however you got this shot, configured.
Yeah.
Whichever way you're thinking the deer's going to come. If you're being quiet and still and all those good things, the deer's never going to look up and see you anyway. You're going to let that arrow fly, and the deer's going to have no idea what's happening until it's already too late.
But it's the trek from the vehicle to the stand that is potentially the problem.
Well,
in your camo or your blaze orange, for two different reasons. One, maybe animals see you or they don't, but more importantly, maybe someone else is already hunting over there that you walk past.
Right. I mean, once again, you don't want to be up in a tree during rifle season. You don't want to take any risk. Just put on your blaze orange. I don't care.
Unless you got a big old plot of private ground, right?
Yeah, but that private ground doesn't matter to a game warden anyway in Nebraska.
There you go. So that's another a good example that you might be hunting out on private ground and think, okay, I'm not going to see any other hunters, but a game warden might show up.
And you can't account
and
for...
not that I'm saying...
And what would be bad if they showed up?
Not that I'm saying that you need to make sure you're not breaking the rules. I'm just saying, again, from a safety standpoint, that's another body walking through the woods.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And you can't account for trespassers. I mean,
right.
We deal with it. Our neighbors all have to deal with it.
Shoot, we talked about dealing with it when someone put up a tent.
First time you guys were getting into it, the first thing that happened was there's a tree stand and a ground blind.
Right. And we're like, excuse me? I mean, it's not like we're talking like we have hundreds and hundreds of acres. So,
right.
Yeah.
And right on the trail that we were setting up, the mineral site, the trail cameras, doing all this work during the off season.
It was a nice free tent
that
we used.
Well, you guys left a note there.
Yeah. Ben did.
No one answered it?
No. He put it at the end of those pegs to climb up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, just no word. It just magically magically appeared a couple months before opening day.
Right, exactly. But we didn't see anybody, but okay. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of this conversation where Ben kind of wanted to take it, and I joke around about it too, are all these new and different and exotic and really expensive camo patterns. Like, I mean, if you watch the Outdoor Channel, like every other commercial is talking about that new camo pattern. You're looking at a $300 vest or something like that. And I mean,
it's a business, right?
It is.
Making some money.
Right. And you got to think about that. Like the old camo that your grandpa used that looks like, the retro look to it.
Yeah.
That'll probably work just fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the new stuff from First Light or whatever the case may, there's a whole bunch of like really nice, new, expensive brands.
There is. And I think, and you're right. That's exactly what I wanted to touch on is that there's a lot of trends going on in the outdoor industry. And there's a lot of cool stuff.
There is.
Like bottom line, some of that stuff's just cool.
It is.
Is it more effective or less effective? I don't know. That's probably up for debate. But
and I do want to throw this out there. Garrett has upgraded all of his like outdoor gear to a really expensive brand that a lot of guys are into now by the name of Sitka. That's expensive stuff, but it does last. And from what I've gathered and from what I've understood, if you have a problem, they will pick up the phone and they'll make sure they take care of you.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, it's still tough for me to, spend around $1,000 for a pair of boots or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at kind of a lifetime warranty type of deal or something like that, and you are one of the cool kids then too, there's something for that.
I mean,
let me fit in here. So, but no, I do think there's you got to find that balance of where you just buying a brand or where you actually buying quality with it, so, but there's a lot of frauds, let's say, in the outdoor world. A lot of knockoff camos, where it looks like Sitka, it looks like this or that, but it's really just a cheap knockoff.
See, like I feel I would be more apt to spend the money if it worked better for the cold. If my feet weren't, you know what I mean, as cold. If my body wasn't as cold, things like that, just for the look of it and just to be wearing it as the name brand, that doesn't get me any, like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But if it actually executes better.
Yeah, it keeps me warm, keeps my feet warm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when would you put on expensive stuff, Ben? Wouldn't that be your deal? Like it has to work?
Yeah, I think
you're not like a name brand.
I think the functionality of that item is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've made it clear or not yet, but if I haven't, I think that the camo pattern itself has little to nothing to do with it. Because, if you go back again, you look at these old videos and what these guys are doing in browns and reds and flannels and all this kind of stuff, like it was effective then, you know, I think it's probably effective now. So I think it has less to do with that. But depending on what you're doing, you want something that's really going to perform. Yeah. You want that warmth, you want that breathability, you want that flexibility, like all the things that come along with it, something that's going to last. You know, typically for the average guy, you're probably only wearing it a few times a year.
Right.
You want to have it for the rest of your life, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah. And if you are, you know, just a recreational hunter, maybe it's just opening weekend for you, you probably don't need the $500 long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
You know, you can probably get by with whatever's on sale at your big box store, you know, for a weekend here or there.
And the reality is if you are just an opening weekend hunter and let's say you've got some cheap ground blind or something like that, go out there in your pajamas. Like,
oh my gosh.
I mean, what is it?
Are you talking about us? Although we did all that, but you didn't show up in your pajamas.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter.
Right. If you're in the blind, it doesn't
but
matter.
If you get a deer and you have to take a picture in your pajamas, you're like, oh, look at this.
You're Winnie the Pooh pajamas.
Yeah, that might be groundbreaking. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
Got this one on my PJs. That's some good old down south talk right there.
Yeah.
But that's true. I guess if you're in a blind, you know.
Yeah,
I
what's
don't
it
know.
matter?
Just make sure you're wearing your blaze orange if it's rifle season.
Yeah.
And especially if you got to make a walk to it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's another thing. Like if you hear a shot ring out, you know, it sparks curiosity. So you might have some more eyeballs on you. You, especially if you're approaching a deer that's down with antlers, you're going to be one of wearing blaze orange.
Yeah.
You know, to your point about flannels and all that stuff worked back in the day, of course it did, especially with, you know, rifles and even high power muskets back in the day, because you're so far away that their natural defense mechanisms, smell and hearing, haven't kicked in yet. You haven't got close enough. So that's a big reason why you don't have to wear camo if you're rifle hunting. And a lot of the bird hunting, you know, where you see those guys, a lot of that's pheasant, to where you're walking up and you're flushing them anyway.
Right.
And you also hit the nail on the head. It's all about movement, even with birds. Like, you got to be still. I've guided hundreds of turkey hunters. And especially when we're just out in the open, our backs are up against a tree, I'm trying to tell people you have to be still. And still to them is they're still moving their arms or getting their phone out of their pocket. I'm like, no, you are so busted right now. We better hope that a bird doesn't come around the corner because you're just moving. I mean, you got to be so still.
Like frozen, basically.
Frozen, yes.
Yeah.
And the only time you move, and it's another quick balance, right? You gotta be quick, but you can't hurry. Of just getting your shotgun up and putting it on the sight, on the bird and pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Quick, but don't hurry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is what it comes down to. Like you said, it's, if you think about it that way, I think the go-to is to think like, as we see. You look out on the horizon and you can pick out the colors and you can pick out those types of different things. These animals, if something moves, that's what they're picking up on.
That's how they see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
it just attracts the eye naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Any movement. And they're already jittery. Most of the animals that we hunt, especially around here, that's their big defense mechanism.
And really it's the same thing. I mean, we experienced it this year with deer hunting, and you have 100 times, I'm sure. You could be sitting there looking at the same spot for 2-3 hours and not even realize there's an animal there,
right?
Until it makes a little bit of a movement.
Yeah.
Because their natural colors and camouflage and so on and so forth, it makes a little bit of movement. And you're like, oh my, how long has that thing been standing there?
It's just amazing, especially with deer when they get that brown coat in the fall and they just blend right into the hillsides. Yeah, it is amazing how they just
I could
blend
see
right in.
With the snow how that could be helpful if you have a white backdrop.
Very much so.
God, just a little bit of white.
Yeah, that's always kind of a hunter's dream is, get that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of snow.
Is it? Okay.
Night before. Yep.
Yeah, I guess I, new to it and just thinking these animals, deer so big, they're going to be noisy. I mean, the squirrels were more noisy.
Oh, they're so obnoxious. Oh, they're terrible.
It's like, how can you, I didn't hear you. Where did you come from? But I hear this stupid freaking squirrel,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was just weird and interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So I don't know. That's the kind of the camo and orange debate. Do you have anything else that you know of that you add to that?
No, it just a lot with the expensive gear out there. I feel like we've almost painted ourselves into a corner as far as the outdoors and outdoorsmen and trying to promote the outdoors. If you watch one of those shows, like I was saying on the Outdoor Channel, we'll say, and you stay tuned and you watch all these commercials, you feel like, oh my God, I need a $500 coat. I need a $300 jacket. I need, $800 boots. No, you don't need that. That is just marketing on steroids to a very, specific group. The barrier to entry to get into the outdoors isn't as daunting as it's sometimes perceived. And a lot of that is just capitalism, baby. I mean, it's marketing. Right. That's all it is. You got to be able to understand that, I guess, is a big message I'd want to get out there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that folks need to understand. You don't have to spend thousands to get involved in this. And
I think we said that with guns too, right? Like anything, not anything will do, but $200, $300, $400 gun. It doesn't have to be $1,400.
So, good options.
So,
but the majority of those commercials are for a $2,000 rifle, outfitted with a $2,000 scope.
Right. So you're like $5,000 in before you've even stepped foot.
Before you even buy your camo.
Yeah. That you don't have to do that.
Not at all.
No. I mean, according to Ben, just roll out in your pajamas.
There you go. Hey, I like it.
He would be too cold. Whatever. He's in his Carhartt, full
like
bibs.
5 layers.
Oh, yeah. No, it made me think of the other thing we were talking about at hunter safety. Since this was so old, they're like, do you shoot or do you not? It's like the situations. Do you remember this?
Yes,
so just bringing you back to when you were 10.
Yeah.
And this guy, it looks like an animal's moving. And everyone's like, yeah, shoot. And it's the guy's carrying the deer over his shoulders.
Over his back.
And has no orange on. And of course it looks like an animal moving. But who would carry an animal
Oh man!
over their shoulders? I don't know. It made me laugh.
Idea.
But
90% of the guys in that video, or those videos, were wearing flannel.
Straight up.
Oh
yeah.
It's like giving somebody one of those reindeer, antlers that you wear on Christmas instead of saying, "Here, you going hunting? Here, here you go."
Yeah. So that guy should have had some blaze orange on.
Yes, he should have.
And not been carrying the deer on his back.
Carrying the deer on
There's
his
a different way to go about that. You're exactly right.
It just made me laugh. I had never seen the video, and I think it was bringing back memories for you.
That guy was asking. That guy was asking for it. I mean,
that's dumb. Yeah.
Anyways.
Dumb. As far as camo goes, I mean, the bottom line is for me, I like it.
I love camo.
I wear it just regular stuff.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a camo hat right now, of course. I mean, whatever. I'm not trying to hide from you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't see that hat over there. It was so breaked up.
Blended in over there.
There is a new brand out there that's fully made in America. Have you heard about this? Origins?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're another one of those multi-layered, all this scientific research, and you got to have a base layer and an outer layer, blah, 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 blah. It's overwhelming. It's intimidating. But I want to check him out a little bit more, if for no other reason. It's Jocko Willenick. I liked his books that he wrote, and also it's made in America. It's not easy to always find clothing and things like that are made in America.
That's another one as far as these camo patterns go. If you look at theirs, it's very unique. They've developed their own kind of swirly pattern, whatever.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I was talking about when we brought this up was there's all these different patterns, and how do you know which one's better? Well, to me, they're all kind of the same. It just kind of depends on what look you like.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're going to be in different environments, if you're in a grassy environment or a woodsy environment or whatever, there could be some that are better than others. But in general, I mean, I think we've exposed the fact that the number one thing is probably sit still. Yeah.
Movement, scent, all those things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then maybe you'll have some luck.
Unless Sitka wants to be our sponsor, then of course.
Well, if they, if they called us and they were like, "Yeah, we want to," then we'd be like, "Hey, this stuff's really important.
You guys need to look at this Sitka."
Then we might take down this podcast.
Yeah, we can do a little re-edit,
redo one. No kidding.
One thing I can tell you is down the road with Stock and Rod, we are working on putting together our own camo pattern.
Oh, very cool.
And it's only because we want something unique for the brand.
Yeah.
It's not because we're going to reinvent invisibility in the woods. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Let's let this thing breathe a little bit.
Yeah. we'll see. But yeah, I mean, we're as guilty as any of these other ones. I mean, it's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, and we're trying to be transparent about it as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep. All right.
Well,
yeah.
I liked the bars. Good conversation, guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think I've had enough.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna close this out. You guys good? Anything
Yeah.
else?
Peace.
Good. Later.
All right. See ya.